Hey everyone, welcome back to our Purple Print Journey vlog. I am Joy, also known as Dr. Joy, with another episode of our vlog. This is going to be the video one before the last. There's two more videos to go. Again, when you see this, it's going to be months later anyway, but just to give you context of some of maybe the wrap-up talk that I will be having in the next couple of videos, because I've gone over so many things already. So, in our video today, I'm going to be going over really like the summer of 2025, um, some of the realizations and milestones, I guess, that happened, and still bring it back to the whole point of having these discussions. All right. So, um, in our last discussion, I think I had talked a little bit about having to do my community service and being blessed enough to be able to have community service that I was able to walk to, scoot to, that type of thing. I was staying in a space, I got into a space where I didn't have to like share rooms with anybody. I wasn't like in danger or anything like that. However, what was happening during that time period is that my packages were being taken, and it would be a blatant thing because say my roommates, so we would get mail, and on the one side of the house, everybody, that's where all the mail would go. All of their packages would be there, but my package would have been taken. So it was clear to me that it was being identified as like, these are Joy's packages and let's take them. I can't get into or won't get into or really don't have the capacity necessarily to get into who exactly was doing the things that they were doing, but there were always things. I'm saying it's super calm, which I think is a trauma response, to be completely honest with you. To be calm around narcissistic abuse, traumatic things, to be calm around being followed, stalked, all those types of things is something that we shouldn't ever have to be calm about, right? Your nervous system shouldn't have to be put through the ringer to the point where it's like nothing affects me, but it is kind of like a shell shock thing that happens. I wouldn't say that it has taken away from me my feeling of the possibility of being safe. I don't generally feel unsafe. I have all the ways for me to protect myself. Like I feel safe. One, because of the things that line up for me that allow me to be so. But I feel safe. I feel that I can protect myself in most instances. So that said, in this last space that I was in where I felt like I was getting my community service done, and I did get my community service done. I have a picture from actually the day that I went to the diversion program, to my last visit with my probation officer, and where I was able to pay all of my court costs, even though they had doubled my court costs in court. I was able to manifest the money because I did not have a lot. I was able to manifest what I needed in order to make that happen. So I would say from there, from that period of being able to close out my case and all that stuff, which was not going to be the goal for the person who got me in the case in the first place. I was supposed to be distraught. I was supposed to like be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Yeah, I felt like I was able to get done what I needed to get done. And I still stayed in that space because it was comfortable for me while I was still building everything back up. But like I said, because things were starting to be taken. And also I mentioned in a few videos, I walk a lot. That is my medicine. And so part of my routine for one of my walks could be to stop at Starbucks or something like that, right? And so when it got to the point where I'd get there and it would be clear that somebody was like ordering stuff in my name to make sure that I knew that I was being watched. I was like, I think it's about time for me to figure something out. So me and myself feeling like I'm clever. And I'm saying all this again because this is going to be published months after. Even by the time you see this, I won't even be where I am at this point, but I will um yeah, feel confident in being able to share like what that journey was. There was a back door, a back gate, and a back alley really to these houses. And I was able to successfully rent a car one day, and my landlord, I guess at the time, he got a new property, which is a little cottage, which is what this is, like a little villa, right? Where I don't have to even share a wall with anybody. There's a house and there's a villa. So I'm kind of in my space, kind of by myself. Like there's still people when I go outside in the main house, but um in any event, this was like a brand new opportunity that came out of nowhere. I was like, do you happen to have? And he's like, actually, I just got this thing. I'm like, oh my God. So I was able to rent a car, pack a car, get my dogs and myself over to a whole other city without ever going to the front of the house and being witnessed. The front of the house that I was staying at was on a very main road where anybody could be driving back and forth and watching. And this is not just my mind, like, oh my God, I think people watching me. People have actually confirmed to let me know, like, yeah, I see you when you're walking down this main street. Like, great. So I was able to get myself oh, my volunteer hours were over, but I continued to go to the food bank up until the time that I moved from there. I continued to volunteer at the food bank every week. Whether or not I was still getting food, I would still volunteer because I liked it there. I liked the community and having something to do. And it's like, well, if you were in dire straits, why did you just work? You know, I applied for actually several jobs that would get me something, right? So I can make sure that I'm able to like pay the rent or all that type of thing. Um, and I do believe that we are directed in the ways that we go and the opportunities that come up. And if an opportunity does not come towards you or you're not able to grasp it, it wasn't for you, right? So I would apply for stuff and I either wouldn't get a call back or it would just be very difficult. I'm also thinking about like, damn, how hard is it for someone to get a job at Starbucks or get a job at the movies? It's very icky the way that it's not an easy process. And I feel like people who have businesses like these often feel like, well, there's going to be so many people applying anyway. It doesn't matter. And someone's going to quit tomorrow anyway. And I have people at Starbucks and stuff like that tell me that, like, yeah, they get so many people. They're always hiring, da, 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 right? In any event, I tried all those things and it didn't work, right? But other things did come through for me where I was still able to do my therapy work. I was still able to grow my page, my content. And I've never been in the mindset of like, I just want to be a content creator. Um, I create content based off of my journey and based off of my learning and then my teachings, right? So I give bits of content around the things that I am trying to share with everybody about what I've learned. And I was still able to honor that and still go through the different ahas. And so I felt very lucky to be able to be held in that space for as long as I was without having to go to a job for however many hours, right? And then not be able to pour into those things. So I moved over to that new space. What I want to kind of address during this time, it's like there was a heaviness that was happening during this whole period. And I would say that this was the time where the heaviness started to dissipate a bit. There were some relationships that had not been people who betrayed me, basically, that when I say just ushered themselves kind of back into my life. You know how you have people that you talk to, that could be your best friend from seventh grade or whatever, like talk to you for years, and you fall off and you live your life. And it wasn't like, oh my God, I need help. Can you please come back on my life? A couple of people just came back into my life at the right time for me to feel encouraged and not alone. Loneliness is a thing, especially if you are going through what you might identify as a dark night of the soul. If you're going through depression, a breakup, a heartbreak, a start over, right? Literally starting your life over. Loneliness is a thing. Everyone's not going to understand what you're going through. There's a lot of shame around, especially if you were used to a certain lifestyle, not being able to do the things or afford things that you could before. And not wanting to rely on someone that, like, if you want to go to dinner, and I'm not dating you, right? Then I probably in my mind want to pay for half a dinner or the whole dinner, whatever. Oh, saw that happening. And give me 1 second. Okay, so yeah, having that feeling of like not wanting to talk to people about what was actually going on and not to be like, oh, I want to line up with my online persona because who I am online is who I actually am. And I don't require, you don't have to be rich to do the work that we do. That is just true, right? You might be rich as a result of the work that you do, but you don't have to be rich to do the work that you do. You don't have to be rich to post something, to create something. You do have to have money. It does cost money to pay for all the apps that I need for editing and keeping up my sites and all the stuff. But what I've found to be true is that if I needed a thing, I got the thing. I petitioned for the thing. I asked for the thing. I spoke the thing. I thought about the thing. I thought about not necessarily like how am I gonna get this money, but I would think very clearly, especially in my walks, what is it that I want to see? What do I want to grow right now, right? And then um, the divine basically is like, here goes the seed that you need to grow this thing. Okay, I will take the seed. The seed doesn't look like much. It looks like a seed, it doesn't look like a beautiful flower. It's just a seed. But I'll take that seed and I will till and I will garden. And that's what I had done. So the beach is going to be still a part here. I was really close to the beach. Wherever I lived, I was always maybe no more than 15, 20 minutes away from the beach on my scooter, which was such a blessing, right? And that was free too. So I could be there every day. I could record there. I could obviously swim. I could meditate. I could relax and I could reconnect with nature, right? And get whatever downloads and encouragement that I needed. That is the space that I would love to get that really anywhere outside, but the water in particular happens to be something really special to me. So when I think about what is it that I was doing and like, what am I really doing other than trying to be a businesswoman? Like I'm already an entrepreneur and I have been for a whole, like over 10 years, right? But what is it that I'm really, really doing? When I look at the body of work and the projects and even my relationships, like the people that I've connected with for projects and for work, it has been for the purpose of breaking generational curses, for sure. I have kids, whether or not my daughter ever talked to me again, it doesn't really, I'm not saying it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me in terms of what I wish to do for her. I wish, and my son as well, like I'm actually for both of them, I'm very clear. Like I wish for them to have the type of options that I did not have, right? If you're raised in, let's say, a Christian household, this is not me saying you guys need to be doing it different. You do your life, your raising of your kids exactly the way you want to, just talking about what I did. My thing is, if I go to church, if I pray, if I meditate, if I pull cards, if I do divination, whatever these things are, I do not hide any of these things from my kids, right? Essentially, I don't hide anything that I do, but it's like, and of course, their father is completely different from me, which is actually a big part of my attack, that I am a person who is spiritual and they, when I say they, I mean his wife and his wife's family are not. So it's like there's a reason to have a whole thing coming at me. But I was never like, don't listen to how your dad does things, or their dad is Jewish, the mom is Catholic, so they started going to Catholic church. Oh, okay, fine. But what I want is for them to have a chest of information, and for when they come to that intuitive space that we all do come to, building your own relationship with God or your God, however you look at it, you have information to choose well. What feels right to your heart, to your soul. You might change your mind, but the purpose of me living these ways and speaking around these things is because I think that we should all have the options, that there should be liberation around every part of us, our sensuality, our spirituality, our sexuality, our mobility, right? Like I know a ton of people who have never left the city or town that they grew up in, right? Or maybe they've traveled to one place. Or whenever I talk to someone, like, I've never been to New York. I'm just like, but it's such an easy space to go to. You know what I mean? Whether it's New York, just some major city. Like, really? Especially if we're not that far. New York is like an hour and a half for a flight. Um, I think that we need to take advantage of what's in front of us and not wait and like, okay, well, I'll go and I'll travel when I have the money to make my travel look like a 5-star travel experience, that I'll go and I could stay in this type of hotel or I could stay at this type of resort. It has to be for that. Or you could just go because it's another piece of land on the planet that maybe energetically you want to feel. Maybe you want to smell it. Everywhere you go, it sounds weird, right? But I do have a smell thing. Like I can smell very, very well. Like well is one thing. I can smell a lot. I walk into the house, I could smell something is off, right? Really, I walk up to people, I could smell something is off. But every place I've been has a different smell, like based off the things that they bake, the things that they cook, even the families cook. If I walk down the street, I could smell the food coming out of the family's houses. And there's different cultures on my street, and I can smell the different cultures literally just walking my dogs down the street, which I love. I think it's more information, it's more energy to wrap around and experience, even without having to sit down at the table with you, right? So I do love being warm now that I'm here. I'm used to it, but I also have a loving for being cold. I do. Now, it is New Year's today. Today's New Year's, and it is 48 degrees in South Florida, which feels just quite disrespectful. There's not even, we don't turn the heat on and that type of thing. So even the fact that I'm not wearing sleeves before I got on and before I took a shower, I had on like 5 layers. It is now warmed up. It is the afternoon. So yay. You see my toes with my alien slippers and green socks on because those are cold. But there's such an appreciation for life in general when you can see the diversity of life. You can even appreciate where you come from if you go somewhere that you don't like. Man, I love that this is my home. But I wanted to normalize that for my kids, my nieces, my nephews, all my siblings have kids. I have 3 siblings, and everyone has a minimum of 2 children. Everyone. One has 4 children and grandchildren, as a matter of fact. And whether or not people will admit that they partake in anything that I do, that they watch my YouTube or anything, I know that they do. And so I know that they get to take a part of some energy from it, some audacity from it. That doesn't mean that this journey doesn't come with losing things, but you have to start to discover for yourself what loss even means. Is it a loss for me to lose a toxic relationship or a relationship that kept me small? And I don't even mean small in terms of stardom, but small even in terms of how I talk to my own spirit, right? Small in terms of, I know that I have purpose. Do you know you have purpose? You do. And what if I let you talk me out of even living in my purpose? Then what am I here for? And that is stuff that causes like depression, anxiety, when there's no direction. There is nothing to get up for. If there's only, I'm getting up to go to work, to punch this clock, to do the same activities and behaviors that I did yesterday and the day before, that, yes, if you feel like that is your purpose to contribute to the community, to the world by doing this thing, great. Everyone doesn't feel that way, but people who don't feel that way can be very much made to feel that they are wrong or frivolous for wanting something different than people who have figured out a formula that works for them. My whole dad's side of the family, they all work for MTA, which is Metro Transit Authority in New York, right? And it's like, just get this, it's like getting a job at the post office. Like, just get this good job. You get the good benefits and and they work there forever until they retire. And then, try to live a pretty decent retirement life. You get a pretty good pension and all that type of stuff. But you've given your body to this space for so many years doing the same thing, and you're complaining. None of them ever were like, I'm just so happy I have this job. It was like, I just got to work. I got to work. I got to get this overtime. Da, 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 da. And my dad, I don't know that he ever didn't work overtime. And that's also a thing to be shamed about. Like, how come you don't have 2 jobs? Before I had kids, I always had 2 or 3 jobs. Very normal for me to have 2 or 3 jobs from college on. Like, that was a very, cultural thing maybe, but it was like you're almost disrespected if you weren't working hard enough and working several jobs. Why can't we just have a job that pays us well? Or why can't we hone in on the skills that we have and expand from there and do even better and do more? Like, no, you just have to follow this blueprint. But there's other people who do other things. Well, not us. Well, so I'm a part of creating the blueprint for my kids, like I said, nieces and nephews doing something different. Even my niece, I love my little niecey poo, but just watching the different things that I know her father would be like, where'd you get that from? Like, well, she got it from watching her aunt and watching other people in this era who are like, hey, it is okay, right? And you're not going to be dejected from the world if you follow your passion, okay? So following my passion, I will never be scared out of it. And I think a lot of things that have happened in the midst of this journey where it was like the showdown, like, well, who's going to win? Is it going to be the divine, or is it going to be the world? Is it going to be the matrix, or is it going to be your intuition, right? Do I have something to prove? Not really. I just feel like I have something to be, and I have some things to do as a part of my being, right? I don't feel that I have to prove, like, see, I was able to do it my way and be wealthy. I want to be able to live and not be in scarcity, not be in poverty. I want to even rework around what I think scarcity is. Scarcity to me now is not that I can't go to a five-star restaurant once or twice a week, which was very normal for me, right? Um, that's not scarcity to me. Scarcity is I don't have somewhere to sleep. I want to say a roof over my head, but really like just somewhere to sleep, somewhere that I could lay my body down, I can rest and recharge, and then go for another day of what it is that I want to have today. I heard someone talking about the other day, they pulled a card and they were like, it was like, frame your future instead of like that future tripping, like frame your future in a 24-hour period, which I loved. I remember talking to a client about this a while back. Like, when I want to not feel overwhelmed, I just think about what is it that I want to accomplish today. And I really do, and I'll say this to my friends and stuff, I really do feel like this whole setup is like a video game, right? Is it even really there? Whatever. But it's like a video game. And I'm like, okay, so you just got to get to the end of the game today. Like, that is what we got to do today. How do we get to the end of the game today? How do we collect our little mushrooms? How do we rescue the princess? How do we get to the next level? And you didn't fail. You just did what you came to do, which was to play that game today. And if you got up tomorrow, the next day to play it again, that's cool, right? But the goal necessarily wasn't like, let me do it so I can get up again tomorrow. No, the goal is let me live today, because I don't know if I'm going to get up tomorrow, right? Tomorrow is not promised. What is promised, as far as I can see, is this next second of breath, maybe at least that, right? Even if I died right now, it'd probably take me at least 15 seconds to a minute to completely be out. All right. So let's say at least the next second. So what can I do in this next minute, this next second that is like mine, that I am in charge of, that I am proud of, that makes me feel good? I feel like we came here to have this human experience, to engage in all the things that human experience has. Like, what if when you are no longer on this plane, you can't eat anymore, you can't touch anymore, you can't smell, whatever? Who knows what that experience is, for sure. I know we have a lot of musings and ideas around it. I have my own ideas around it, but I'm trying to keep it open for us. But like, what if that's the case, that it's just not the same experience? What if, when you're a ghost, in any depiction you've ever seen of shows, whatever, you can't have sex anymore? Like, so I came to have all the sex, okay? But in a sacred way, right? Even if I'm not having, even if there's periods of not, I know that it exists, but I know that it is a part of what we were, a gift that we were given to have pleasure in general. Are you scooping up your pleasure, right? And what this journey has proven to me, that even with the shenanigans and people hardcore coming at me in groups, and when I say groups, talking about my my narc, and being a part of a group or a brotherhood or a sisterhood, that they do come together. Attorneys have come together to collaborate to destroy my life, literally. But it hasn't worked. And I'm saying it and I'm saying it, and this is not going to be edited out, and it's never going to work, right? No one else outside of me and my God are in charge of what my life is going to look like. It's not a thing. If you want to be in a space where you have peace, this is a pivotal piece of this purple print intuitive journey. You really have to have faith in something other than the little minions and demons and whatever that walk around, right? You have to have more foresight than the illusions around you. You have to be tapped into something. You have to have faith, is what I'm saying. You have to, or you cannot sit in a space in enough peace to be able to create the next thing, to be able to have the next experience. How could you possibly have an experience if you're always worried about what your experiences are about to be, how they're going to disturb my experience, and what does this mean? Like, to me, when there is something that attempts to disturb my experience, the meaning I take from it is like, okay, Maybe there is something or someone who is projecting some sort of energy, and this could be like you're literally in front of me, you're trying to argue with me for no reason or whatever. Okay, so you want to engage me for whatever your reason is. Maybe you get some satisfaction, maybe you get something off your chest, whatever. You don't care that it disturbs my peace, or maybe you do care that it disturbs my peace, and that's your intention. And I get to decide what actually how it lands, right? I can't stop people from sending out their intentions, but I can decide how it lands on me, how it impacts me. And also I can decide how long I hold it in its original state. Meaning, if you attacks that I would get on a typical basis in different ways is like on my motherhood and like my womanhood and me just not being a good person all the time for my ex, like a regular thing. And I had to decide what that meant and how much I was going to ruminate on it. So I could go in the direction of, well, how could I be a better mom so he could stop saying that, right? How could I show all of them? He's saying that they all think this of me. How could I prove to them that I'm not trash and da 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 da? Or I could look at it as, okay, how could I step into other spaces that this person has no access to, so I don't have to hear him talk, and place no meaning on what he said. It like where it has no meaning on my actual character, but more so on just, how do I get more clever so that you are not a part of this whole script that I am writing for myself? That's it. It's not even being angry. I'm not angry at you for doing what you do or for, I guess living out your script either. I just want you to not be a part of my space. That is our boundary flex, removing ourselves from spaces where people want to disturb our peace. And one might say, well, you can't always remove yourself from a space. Yes, you can. Simple as that. Yep, you absolutely can. If people are like, but I can't leave, or what about, the money, or what about the kids, or what about, the people who depend on me, and da 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 da. If you are being beat down somewhere, if you are being pretty much told like you have to be a servant in the way that we want you to serve, you have to not be who you actually are, that's just not for you. Now, if you want to submit to it, we have free will, you can absolutely do that. But who I'm talking to are people who crave liberation, okay, who crave autonomy, not for the sake of, I want to be rebellious. I just want to have what I was promised in my human experience, right? Why do we fight for rights at all? Like, why do we fight for civil rights? Why do we have laws? Why do we have things that protect us? Why do we even have like financial agreements where we pay into this thing or that thing for the whole community? Because what we said as a community, we say it differently. But what we say as a community is like, hey, we've created this thing on this planet where we want to have the best human experience that we can have. We want to not be degraded. We want to not be isolated. We want to not be unfairly put in prison or deported or all those things, right? These are the things that we all came into agreement. And then whoever has more power or whatever can decide really what those agreements look like. But the underlying thing for all of us is that, what is it? Liberty, right? Like that's what we say that we want. And so that's what I want. And I know that if I stay in certain spaces, I'm putting myself in a prison, and I'm denying myself of these liberties. So being in the places where I was at the lowest of my low in terms of my like feeling my physical well-being was at risk, my financial well-being, emotional well-being, my reputation, my business well-being, all those things, I've seen them be put to the test, and they either got transmuted into something that would serve me. They either got eliminated, like an idea I had around what I needed to maintain, or they were just protected, and I just kept going. I saw what was stronger than people who do not mean you well. And it is me and the goddess. That's it. So this is a period where I started to also, what did I start to do? Oh, I was getting more into like tarot. I was already doing tarot or pulling tarot, whatever, before I even sold my house. That was funny. I got rid of a whole lot of things, but my little crates for my tarot cards they travel with me to all my little Airbnbs or whatever. One might travel with their Bible, one might travel with their journals. I travel with that as well, right? But whatever, I guess, intuitive tool you think is going to help you along. So I have my goddess cards, I have my oracles, I have all different types of things that have always helped to guide. And when I'm in a class, they've also always helped to guide people in class. They've always helped to guide a deeper dive into knowing you and confronting what you actually need, not just feeling like it's a fleeting desire. So whenever I've done like a sensual yoga or yoga class, right, at the end of every class, I would always give them an oracle card. It was never tarot because I knew tarot would be a greater push for some people, but they would usually be like a goddess oracle card. Usually the African goddess deck. I try not to switch it up too much on them, right? Or it could be Gabrielle Union's The Universe Has Your Back, or oracle deck. Lots of maybe like 5 different decks I would like rotate or whatever. But whenever I did it, and these are people who had never done any divination, no, not out loud, did any divination, sorry. It wasn't something that they shared with like their community members or whatever. But when I would do it, they would look at their card, and then I would kind of put it down while they were in their savasana, or we were at the end of our meditation or whatever. Every time they saw the card, they're like, I don't understand how you knew to give me this card. Like, this is the card that I needed. Like, I was just talking about this, and this is my belief around divination. And these are the things that I've grown to understand more and more, that we are the ones who kind of manifest or call forward what it is that we need to confirm, that we need to be reminded of, that we need to log as this is the truth and now I can move, right? We ask for what it is we want. We ask our higher self to give me something to help me have clarity. And so you ask for the card. Whatever I pulled, I shuffled, whatever, I put it down. I didn't think about this is what you need. I just pulled it out. And every single time be like, oh my gosh. That also started to, I think, disturb people. Like what kind of witchcraft is she doing? I'm not calling it forward. You are. I'm just bringing it with me. I'm the guide, so to speak, right? And I have a bag of things that might help you. And I share these things with you. And you're like, oh my gosh. The power is in you being willing to show up and come to spaces like that. Come to do yoga, which a lot of us won't do. Come to do meditation, which a lot of us won't do. You are the one saying, I am open to clarity. I'm open to my divine, right? Whatever my divine path is. And that's who finds me, the people who are open to their divine path. And I say it so much more feverishly now in 2026. But after going through the things that I've gone through, I double down on what I believe in, right? Anyone who has tried to get me to remove myself from my faith has utterly failed. The only thing they have done is strengthen my faith. That's all. Is life perfect? I don't know that life would ever be perfect in whatever sense that we even look at perfect. I think today is perfect. I think right now in this moment is perfect. My 2 dogs are sitting here snoring and happy. I'm able to record and eventually edit this thing that I want to do and work on these projects. I just worked on my Etsy page that has been a year. It's been a year coming for these things putting together, but I dropped the seeds. I just kept dropping the seeds. And no matter what I was in the background crying about, I had hope that things would change. And it was never like a hope, like I have to let me just grin and bear it for 6 months. No, maybe there's something that I want to manifest and it comes in 6 months, but there was always something else that I had previously manifested that would show up today. And then something else shows up tomorrow. My hope was built by the day. There's always something magnificent that happens every single day if you look for it. I wanted to do this challenge for a while, the butterfly challenge, where I asked people to, for 30 days, look for a butterfly, right? And like, when you see this butterfly, describe where you saw it, what the environment was like describe the experience. So 30 days of searching for magic, 30 days of searching for God. And I know that in every region of the world, you don't always see butterflies. And I know because I'm here where I live, I do see butterflies every single day, no matter how hot or cool it is. I'm going to attempt just for a minute, because it's so cool. I'm going to attempt to go out there today, and I'm sure I will see a butterfly. But if I don't see a butterfly, I see stuff I've never seen. I see an owl. I see a freaking lizard I've never seen change colors in front of my face. I see all types of things. But it's this refocusing our attention to where is God today that has saved me, that has been beautiful. I briefly dated someone who grew up in church and decided that she no longer believed in God, like God had betrayed her. And I know that we do go to those places where we have so much pain and so much confusion where we can feel that. And that's heartbreaking to me to be like, man, the one thing that like that's my breath. My faith, my spirituality is my breath. Okay. And so I don't know how romantic it was, but one of the things that I would do is ask her to text me every day, where did you see God today? It could be in the way that your daughter laughed today. It could be in the way that you got contacted for this position that hasn't quite been posted yet, but somebody thought of you and they thought you'd be great for it. And you've been waiting for a promotion. You've been needing it. They didn't even know how much you needed it, but it was sent to you. It was wrapped up and sent to you, right? It could be in the fact that somebody went through a red light right in front of you, but you didn't get harmed. It could be in the extra sauce that was put in your bag that you didn't ask for. It could be that you look a little bit more sexy today and you tapped back into that sparkle that you hadn't in so long. But every day there's a way to witness God. Okay. And I'm laughing because it only lasted for a little bit because she definitely had a demon on her back. She openly talked to me about going to, oh my gosh, I'm about to say the thing. I don't want anyone to be upset. Like I'm saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it is a different thing. But it wasn't, what's the right way to say it? I don't believe me. I don't believe in utilizing any sort of energy, prayer, whatever to harm someone. I know for a fact that there's people who are in a church right now who are praying, literally praying to their God. They're praying to God on your downfall. That's a spell. Like that is our words are spells for you to be like, oh my gosh, I pray that this person can stop corrupting the world and that she'll never be able to do this and no one will ever see her, no one will ever hear her, see no evils, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's spell work. So whoever the practitioner is, whether it is you're the deaconess or a priestess, right? Depending on what the intention is, can be an issue. Okay, so then we'll go back. So this particular young lady definitely went to a voodoo priestess on a regular basis. And she was very open about it because she felt that it had saved her from some abusive things. And even to the point where she was like, talking to her about some things that were happening with my narc. Like, well, do you want to go see the voodoo priestess? Because the things that she was requesting was for this person to basically be, let's say, stopped, but also harmed, right? I was like, I think that she was offended because when I was like, no, it wasn't that I didn't, do what you do, but it was really about my faith where I was like, I feel really protected and directed by my spirit team, by my ancestors, where the way that I feel is that I don't need to do that. It's not that there's a problem with it, but that's not where I access my well of life from. That's it. So I think it could be offensive to say to someone else, I don't know, come out of your pain and try this thing over here, right? Sometimes we are addicted to the pain. Sometimes we are fueled by the anger. Sometimes the anger gives us an energy that we've never had before. It gives us a power, right? That we never had before to protect ourselves. So there's phases to that thing where you can be in a healing space. You're absolutely healing, but you're in the healing space where you're angry. Maybe you're going to be in the healing space. It's like grieving, right? Where you are devastated, you're sad, you're depressed. Maybe it's going to be a time where you're just completely numb. Maybe it's going to be a time where you're a little bit manic about it, like whatever. But just being angry is one piece of it, but we can make decisions in that anger that are lasting or that are karmic, right? And we can have to deal with the backlash of those decisions that we made. I don't think that there's any backlash of decisions made that we can't survive, but I think it could be, there's levels of difficulty, right? And if what I desire in my life is peace and for good energy to come towards me, I don't want to put out or be a part of putting out any negative energy that will eventually come back to me. What you put out comes back to you, right? So even when I'm speaking about someone, and I'm not using names and that type of thing, but whatever, I have to also expect that maybe someone's going to do a vlog where they talk about me. What could they say about me? So that's why I try to also live a life where if there is something you say about me, it's the truth. And if it's the truth, it's not going to bother me. There's not any truth about me that would bother me, right? There's opinions about me that also won't bother me, but that'll be curious, like, but not that would bother me, right? So trying to stay in that energy, in that space of feeling like I'm aligned with my values and what I believe. That is what gives me peace. That's what gives me the sense of protection and has proven for me to be very protective in terms of I don't need to go to, man, I've had at least 3 people, now that I think of it, literally 3 people be like, do you want me to do that spell for you? Do you want me like, and that's fine. But it also made me keenly aware of where I live and what is prevalent in the community. So here's what's funny. What's prevalent in the community is like the hatred of anything that seems like divination like, but everyone is secretly doing divination. You can't be out here saying this stuff out loud and I'm going to make everyone ostracize you because you believe in a thing that you're telling everybody about this power that everyone shouldn't have. And so let's shut that down. Very strange. Very, very strange. For what reason, I don't know. I'm not going to dive too much into that. But that said, I don't know that this one's going to be too long. But this period, again, has put me in a place of tapping into other things that I would not have thought of and not being afraid of trying different things, again, that line up with how I feel. Even that thing, right? Like even having the peer pressure, I never felt pressure like that, but like the peer suggestions to do this, that, or the other, I knew that I was doing better and healing more. The fact that I was able to say, no, I'm good. It felt good to not be in so much fear of whatever happens in my life that I felt that I had to rely on another thing, right? Like it felt good to be that much in my faith. Whatever my life looks like at the moment, whatever amount of money was in my bank account, it still felt good to be brave enough to be like, you know what? I think I can go in this direction. It's like having a workout that you swear by. I love yoga, right? If someone's like, I think you should do CrossFit because these are the results that you would get and you would get them quick and da 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 da. But if I know that yoga works for me for several reasons, and I also know that the goals that I have for my fitness are not even the same as a CrossFit person, like I'm not interested in that. I feel really good and resolute and being like, no, yoga's my baby. I'll do that. And then I'll expand on that. Right. So find your faith. Find your baby. Don't be faithless. Yeah, this is me pushing faith. Don't be faithless. I don't care what you believe in, but don't be faithless. Being faithless does not lead to fearlessness. It actually leads to a whole lot of fear, right? Gabby Bernstein's book, The Universe Has Your Back, the book is about from fear to faith. And she's spiritual, not necessarily religious. And she talks about that journey, like going through all of that and her understanding also her spirituality. But that is exactly what it is to me. It is about moving from fear to faith. And it's not that you have no fear. You have courage enough via faith, even when fear is like talking right to you, right? And then you stack up enough evidence of getting through these things where you can continue and then you continue. My encouragement is just try the thing, try the 24-hour faith period, try to see what you gather from that one day to help you stack up the scoreboard for yourself, to help your memory stack it up so that you have more ease in surrendering to all the things. I never thought I would be at this day. I couldn't imagine the day that my probation was over and I paid off this court cost. The whole time I'm like, how am I going to pay these court costs? Actually, it's not true. It wasn't the whole time, but there was a time period, right? And then there was a time period where, because maybe I did my hours over a period of 2 months or something. There was a time period where I stopped thinking about it and I was like, I'm going to come up with the money. I don't know how. I don't know how. But what life has shown me is that I ate yesterday and I'm eating now. I'm probably going to eat tomorrow. What life is showing me is that I paid my phone bill the other day, last month, and somehow I keep paying it, right? And I never know how it's going to get there. I just see it, I imagine it, put it away, and then live. And that's it. All right. So I'm not too thrilled with this light doing what it's doing right now. So I'm going to go ahead and close out our vlog for today. So check out the things that I have in the description box, which is probably going to be, by the time you see this, for sure, the Etsy shop, which has a bunch, not a bunch, but at least 3 of the divination tools that I have created specifically for our journey, right? To expand on that. So I think that's it. I am hoping, even though I know you'll see this later energetically, that you have been having a beautiful beginning of your 2026, and that it's one that you are going to be moving more in faith and way less in fear. Year of the fire horse. Yes. All right, everybody. I will talk to you soon.